Hey guys, welcome back to the Christian Town Podcast. I'm your host, Austin Kelly, and today I'm sitting down with a filmmaker who's breaking new ground in American indie film world. His name is Seth Christian, founder of Cinema Country and producer of the upcoming feature film Maid Clean. This one really stood out to me. It's not your typical Hollywood story. It's raw, emotional, and deeply human. Maid Clean follows a mother and a maid battling addiction while trying to hold her family together. A story about pain, grace, and redemption. And let's be honest, this topic couldn't be more relevant. Our country and much of Western Europe, including Germany, is in the middle of a full-blown addiction epidemic. It's in our streets, in our homes, and in our culture. Elon Musk said recently on the Joe Rogan podcast that we're calling this a homeless crisis. It's really a drug crisis. Cities filled with what he describes as drug zombies. It's heartbreaking, but it's the truth. That's what makes Maid Clean so powerful. It's not a polished Hollywood fantasy, it's real life. It's about the fight to break free and the grace that meets people right where they are. Seth and his team are crowdfunding the project right now on Kickstarter.com, sharing a heartfelt presentation that walks viewers through the story, the mission, and why it matters. They're pioneering a new kind of filmmaking, one built on ownership, integrity, and heart. Seth, I'm really looking forward to this one. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. Good to be here.
Let's start at the beginning. What first inspired Made Clean? Was there something personal, a story that made you want to tell this kind of honest and redemptive film about addiction?
Well, I think it started about a year and 3 months ago when I woke up one morning and my right leg and my right arm and my speech didn't work. And it scared the life out of me to say the least. And after going through every test known to man at the doctors, they concluded that I had a rare stroke. And so they were like, "What are you having a stroke for in your 40s?" And so I think through, I was obese and I was just not watching out for good health and what I was eating, and it just caught up with me. And so the next 6 months of my life was basically rehabilitating, and I had a lot of downtime to really think about what Cinema Country was because I had just come up with the name and the idea, and I wouldn't, ironically, I wouldn't trade the stroke for the world because it kind of clarified what it wanted to be. What it really clarified my mission and what I wanted to do with it. One of the toughest things is for everybody to try to find and seek out their identity and take what their gifts are and take what they have to offer to the world. And so Cinema Country really blossomed through this idea of there's no studio out there that offers films for impact. And so that's really what we're doing. So after that was clarified, I had a good conversation with my making buddies for years, and he had a script called Maid Clean, and it was all about supporting drug addiction and mental health. And I was like, dude, this is like karma or something that just kind of came together at the right time. And it really hit the nail on the head on what I was after with part of Cinema Country. And so we really want to do our part in providing messages of redemption and hope and healing to such a much needed causes that are really breaking families apart, not only in our country, but everywhere. And so, like you said, it couldn't be more relevant. And so that's really was kind of the start of where all this came from.
Wow, I had no idea. And for our viewers out there that don't know you, you've actually have a pretty good history in filmmaking. Do you mind sharing a few of your projects?
Yeah, sure. So almost 20 years in the film industry, everything from, you know, $2,000 short films all the way up to being producer on multi-million dollar projects. Some connected to Hollywood, but most of them are in the independent space. And I've started out making little bitty films and going to little mom and pop film festivals and just trying to work it and figure out my voice and work that whole game and everything. But over the years, I've always been a very observant person, and by nature, I'm kind of a disruptor, and by nature, I'm a person that when I see things that are broken that they where they need to be fixed, I really enjoy trying to find a solution for those things, in the interest of putting story and people first. And so it all kind of I hit a wall in the industry where I was like, you know what? After learning 20 years of how not to do things, I basically wanted to create a place that was about kind of the opposite of what Hollywood thrives on, which is greed. And there are so many unethical things that happen in the industry. There are lots of good people out there too, and so that's I really wanted to create a place that was about honesty and transparency and fairness, and allowing all the people that come in, all the way from producer down to grip, even the investors and the actors, we all come in sharing in profiting from the revenue of the film. And we all want to be there because we want to be there. It's not just about a paycheck. And so I really wanted to create a place that was at the heart of what I believe cinema is, and that's about the stories and the experiences that film utilizes as a platform to share those things to the world. And the film industry is such a powerful medium and such a powerful platform to do that, and where we all grow from it and we all experience from it. So that's really where it's going.
Yeah, and I'm really excited for this new project that you're working on because if you look at your filmography and you look at this brand new script, the Maid Clean script, it's actually a perfect alignment to your skill set. When you watch your previous work and you read and you look at the script Maid Clean, you're like, oh, this one's going to be out of the park, home run. So I applaud you for that. So it leads me to my next question. One thing that really hit me about Maid Clean is how real it feels. You didn't try to glamorize anything. You just told the truth. Why was it important to you to show the raw human side of recovery instead of the Hollywood version of redemption?
Well, without picking on any particular studio or any particular movie, because every movie has its place and encourages somewhere out there. I I it, Christian movies have come a long way. But there's always room for more good films and encouraging films that can bring light to the darkness. And so there's never enough. And so one of the things about storytelling is oftentimes, um, when we're making a Christian film, it sometimes doesn't get gritty enough or real enough with what humans are really going through and really struggling with. And so when I tell a story, I want to be authentic and raw as possible, because it's getting to the heart of the emotions of what people really do wrestle with, and not trying to glaze over it and not trying to, you know, pretty pink with a happy bow on top. I really want to try to deliver a story that's truly to the core of the heart and to the message of what the things that are encouraging to our hearts, and really move us into change and into uh, grace.
Indeed, indeed. And just to piggyback on our last conversation about your company, your studio, Cinema Country, is doing something a little different and honestly kind of feels revolutionary. This profit sharing model that gives everyone involved a real piece of the project. That's unheard of. What inspired you to take that approach, and how do you think it changes the culture of filmmaking?
Well, the fact that there's been plenty of church outfits, there's been plenty of studios that have used a share program before. So in that respect, it's nothing new. But in the way that I've constructed it, in the way that I've created this little ecosystem of where we'll be the first studio to do a few things. We'll be the first studio to offer first money out to not just the investors, and where it's not just a greedy system that's typical, where you have to wait for the studio to recoup and make all the money back before anybody sees, peanuts, which is typically the case. And so we'll be the first studio to offer first money out for the crew, for the talent for everybody that comes into the production and creating this movie. I want to create a place where they feel like they're actually a part of something and they're getting a piece of that revenue just like the studio is. And it alleviates greedy producers, it alleviates the greedy system with greedy studios and greedy distribution companies. I don't think there's a good distro deal out there. Um, so I want to create a place that really does that and gets to the heart of when you read a contract, it's not this 87-page convoluted, diluted contract that nobody ever understands. And by the time that money gets through the waterfall, it's kind of a running joke that you get that back end. So my contracts are simple, they're 1 or 2 pages. They clarify very clearly you get a percentage of this movie, period.
Mhm. Yeah, it's kind of similar what Paramount Studios did. I want to say 2008, where they kind of I think it was Redstone who was the CEO at the time. Now Paramount's owned by Skydance, which is the very famous Larry Ellison. Oracle, his son owns it now, and his daughter at A24, Megan owns A24. So what you're
Yeah.
doing isn't unheard of. And I think what I like about Cinema Country, piggybacking on A24, you're kind of creating an A24 ecosystem, like a slate of content that's like Sound of Freedom mixed with A24, right? You kind of have a company that is mission driven, redemptive, and it's unheard of. So I'm really rooting for you. I think everything you're doing in the film industry, I've saw pictures with you with Bruce Willis before his health had declined. So I think you got a lot of people rooting for you, including us here at the Christian Channel. So let's piggyback on the movie itself. The tagline Maid Clean says drug addiction ends where grace begins. That's powerful. What does that phrase mean to you personally? And what do you hope it says to people who might be caught in the same struggle right now?
Well, if Eric Parks, the director of the film, were here, he'd probably be able to answer that a little bit better than I would. But our hearts are both in the same place. And to me, Made Clean is really about encouraging those that when you're in that place of addiction and you're wrestling with that mental health, it's a very desperate place where you're waiting for that Calvary to come save you. And this story really is reaching out to them and encouraging them that you're never too far gone where you can be made clean. And so you're never past the point of no return. And I know how hard that place can be. I've had friends. I've even experienced some things in my own life. And oh, your light went out. Well, you still
Okay.
look good. Oh, there it is. Uh, so yeah, it really does. Like I said, film I think is a very underrated. The arts in general are very underrated platform that can strongly encourage people, um, and at least in that space of mental healing and those points of like rehab centers and things like that. So I want this studio, this movie to really be able to reach out and provide that kind of encouragement.
Yeah, and I think it will. Do you guys have any cast members in mind? Any big celebrities reach out to you guys, say, "Hey, I'm throwing my hat in there," or are you keeping that on the hush?
I got to keep that on the hush, but we are in negotiations with some A-list talent, and there has been some interest. We have casted the teenager in the film already. Her name is Ava Torres. She's very up and coming. She was in the show Chicago Fire. So I just had a good conversation with her mom, and they're so excited. Um, but and then just to backtrack real quick, um, with the purpose of the story with the film, we've also partnered with many foundations and or nonprofit organizations and stuff. So getting that kind of a support where our movie wants to be able to not just offer encouragement with the story, but also offer resources for them to be able to reach out to them in those who need help.
Absolutely. Wow, that's fantastic. So it's really like an organic movement. Do you see this film being distributed through theaters, or are you guys doing through you know, it sounds, but for our audience out there, even though you distribute through churches, I know of a project that did a church distribution. And can you just guess how much money they made through church distribution?
Oh, I have no idea. Probably millions.
Millions,
Yeah,
millions, millions, because stories like Maid Clean matter, right? In a country that's broken. We're here in Los Angeles. Los Angeles has always been bad. We've
yeah,
always had drug addictions. And,
yeah,
a few days, I think it was yesterday, Elon Musk was on the Joe Rogan Experience and he called it out. He says, this isn't really a homeless crisis. Like a homeless person is somebody who, loses a job, is behind on the rent and gets kicked out. That's one person. What we're really dealing with is a drug zombies all throughout this country. And with no one's even bringing up fentanyl, no one's bringing up it's so easy, Seth, to take this film and turn it into a Soderbergh, right? When Soderbergh did Traffic,
right.
I think what you're doing is your mission is so focused on the person versus because I think as people, we get overwhelmed, right? We get overwhelmed with the system. Oh, this president's going to solve all my problems or this situation. No, what I love about this film, it's about the individual. It's about the viewer because
Yeah,
all of us, regardless if we're the best Christians in the world or the worst Christians in the world, some of us have dark, dark sins and
yeah.
we need redemption. And I don't think you didn't necessarily call this a Christian film, but I think this is a film about redemption and grace. And I, as a Christian, believe grace only, I mean, it comes from God, it comes from Jesus Christ, because you know, we all carry this cross, and I'm going to point it back to our Christian faith, and we need the strength. I don't ask God to remove the cross from me. I just ask you, give me the strength to carry this cross. Which
Well,
way I
I was just going to add on to that, that one of the things that has always encouraged me, which for Christians, we're called to be uh, in the world, and not just hidden behind uh, our churches and not just on Sunday. I believe that our mission begins on Monday, and so you know we're not called to be of the world, but we're definitely called to be in the world.
This episode is sponsored by Runewood Rosary. Runewood Rosary Company handcrafts rugged, heirloom quality rosaries for the modern, medieval man and woman of faith, built to withstand life's battles and to draw your heart deeper into daily prayer. Visit runewoodrosary.com and use code ChristianChannel10 for 10% off your order. Fight the spiritual battle. Pray the rosary every day. And for the love of good craftsmanship, upgrade from the flimsy plastic rosary hiding in your junk drawer. Get a rosary worthy of the mission. Each rosary sold supports this show and the work we're doing here. Now, back to the episode.
And so I've never liked labels very much, like Christian movies. I just want to be. I just want to get out there and throw the mission of Christ out there. Jesus called us to do all these things. So I don't like labeling things. I just want to show the movie and show that redemption and grace and those things that Jesus talked about. And so that's really what I'm about. I'm about the crux of what it really means to go out there and not just talk, but do.
Amen, brother. Amen. And Seth, before we wrap up, let's talk about the Kickstarter for listeners who want to support. What's the goal right now, and how can people get involved and help get Made Clean happen?
Well, um, as opposed to the traditional ways of getting movies out there, this market has a habit of devaluing art and turning art into just a commodity. So we want this movie to not, it's not just about making money and making the company successful. It's about the mission. It's about actual change. And I'm out to actually change what we can in the industry to offer a new way of doing things, what I believe is a better way of doing things. And this movie is just one step forward in showing that. And so that's really the end goal of my heart and of the company. And so by giving to the film and allowing us to succeed and to make this thing and really get it out there, You're not just supporting a movie, you're supporting a mission.
Amen. So where can people find you, Seth?
Well, they can find me everywhere. I'm on TikTok, Facebook, LinkedIn. But if they go to the Kickstarter, just search for Maid Clean Movie. Pretty easy to find because I think there's only one Maid Clean on there. But yeah, I'm sure there'll be link with this podcast. But yeah, that's where they can go.
Awesome. And so I noticed that your goal is $88,000, right? And you have like 30 days to go. So right now you're at like 26,000 and some change. What happens if you don't, because I know with Kickstarter, it's all or nothing, right?
Yeah.
Okay, okay. So, guys, ladies and gentlemen, if you could do me a big favor, go to Kickstarter.com right now, put in Maid Clean, and help get this project greenlit. This really is a project for our country. I don't have, drug addiction. We don't typically promote these types of projects, but I view this film as like the next Sound of Freedom. This is a movement. So I'm really happy to have Seth here. And Seth, thank you, man, for being a part of this. And what you're doing with Made Clean and Cinema Country is bigger than a film. It's about giving people hope and creating something real in a world that's lost so much authenticities. Guys, if you haven't already, go check out Made Clean's Kickstarter. It's live right now. Just search Made Clean Movie on Kickstarter to learn more and watch the presentation. Every pledge helps make this story possible, and trust me, it's a story worth telling. And as always, you can find more interviews, films, original content over at christianchannel.com. I'm Austin Kelly. Thank you for tuning in to the Christian Channel podcast. And don't forget to like, share, and drop a comment if this conversation spoke to your heart. God bless, and we'll see you on the next one.
Love it. Thanks, Austin.